Brawl Stars is getting 18 new skins, 2 new brawlers, a new environment, and a brand new game mode. Hello, fellow brawlers. I'm KairosTime. It's time to brawl. Don't judge the hoodie. I didn't do my hair today. Supercell gave me an early look at Brawl Talk so I could explain everything you need to know about this update. Make sure you subscribe for sneak peek content because I'm going to be doing that. Also, I'm really close to 700,000 subscribers. You might be the one to bring me there. Season 6 of Brawl Stars is going to be called the Gold Arm Gang. It's an old Wild West season that is coming with a revamped version of the Wild West environment that has been in the game for a long time, but that needed to be adapted to the overarching theme of Brawl Stars, a theme park. The name of the season is named the Gold Arm Gang, which I believe to be the new trio coming to Brawl Stars. We already have the Wild West Sheriff trio with Colt, Shelly, and Spike, and now we're getting a Wild West Outlaw trio, probably named after their leader, Belle, who has a golden mechanical arm. Belle is the newest chromatic brawler that will be unlockable after you reach tier 30 of season 6's Brawl Pass. I believe that she is the leader of the Gold Arm Gang, and she loves robbing banks whenever she can. Honestly, I think her mechanics are very interesting. She has a very long range, around 10 tiles, which is pretty similar to Brock's, Piper's, and Bee's ranges. And we didn't get a super great clip of this in action, but if her attack hits an enemy and they are close to another enemy, her attack will bounce to the other enemy. Kind of like Jesse's attacks bounce between enemies. Not exactly, it's actually a little bit different. Now in this clip, we can see that Belle fires a shot at the enemy safe. Now it doesn't immediately bounce off the safe, even though Jesse's really close, but rather it bounces a second later to hit Jesse. Now this is with Belle's gold hand skin, and you can see this sort of animation happening on the safe before it fires to the next target. With her normal skin, you'll see a little bit of like an electrical charge animation for a second, but because another enemy is not close to this 8-bit, it doesn't actually fire off another shot. Now, Danny said that this attack will continue to bounce between enemies until the enemies get further away from each other. So maybe it will just happen over and over and over again until somebody dies or they get further away. We don't know what that range is going to be like, how close you have to be to that brawler. However, I'm going to be doing a sneak peek for Belle where I'll go over those exact specifics. Either way, this mechanic is going to do a good job at punishing enemies who are bunching up close to each other. Now, as for Belle's damage, she deals 1,560 damage with her main attack, which is actually very similar to Brock's attack damage, right? And it kind of works well because they have a similar range. Now, as for the bounce shot damage, it looks like it deals half of it if it hits that second enemy, as we can see from the shot bouncing onto that Jesse. Now, another thing to note is the fact that Belle has a slow reload speed, once again, like Brock's attack. She does have a little bit more health than Brock and Piper though, at 3,640 health, but it's not a ton of additional health, so keep that in mind because she is going to be pretty squishy. As for her super, she fires a special shot that will put a target on the enemy that it hits. Now the super only deals 700 damage to them, which is not very much, but brawlers with this target on them will take additional damage from any source. What we don't know is how long this target is going to stay on enemies. It might only be up there until the next additional damage they take, like Nani's return to sender gadget. It might even be just for the next 4 seconds or 10 seconds or something like that. But I think it is more likely that we'll see this kind of work like Colonel Ruff's super does, but for the enemy team. And by that, I mean that they will permanently take additional damage from any source until they die. I'll make sure and clarify the exact mechanic with my sneak peek for her. Now let's talk about Squeak, the second brawler that we're getting, and then we'll talk about the new game mode. Squeak is a mythic brawler that will be released sometime in May. So we're gonna have to wait a bit, and he's not gonna be the most rare, but it's still gonna take a little bit for me to unlock him in my unboxing challenge. Drinking dog drool until I get Squeak? Yeah. So, Squeak is an alien being that has basically evolved from the drool of Colonel Ruff's. I feel like Supercell could have just not told us that and I would have been okay with that. I have a feeling I'm going to get over it though because he's actually kind of cute. And I'm calling it right now. He's going to be pretty strong. Now, Squeak's attacks are like sticky bombs, okay? They fire in a straight line, and if they hit an enemy, then they will stick to them and explode a second later with splash damage. So you will definitely want to avoid being clumped up with teammates when you're facing the enemy Squeak. It seems like that seems to be the theme of the 2 new brawlers that we're having this update. Also, one thing to note is that his attacks look like they will deal damage on the other side of walls. If he attacks a wall, it will stick to that wall and deal damage on the opposite side. I guess what I'm saying is Squeak might actually be a decent counter against throwers, although they will have that second to run away, which is something to consider. Now, Squeak's attack has a very long range of what I measured to be just under 8 tiles. But with the radius of his explosion on top of that, it actually looks like his effective range will be about 10 tiles, just like Piper, Bee, and the other new brawler, Belle. Now the damage is actually the same exact damage as Belle's as well. Plus, it looks like Squeak has a rather slow reload speed, just like her. So in this update, they're releasing long-range brawlers with slow reload speeds that counter people to clump up. For Squeak's super, he throws out a frag bomb that kind of works similar to his attack in the fact that now it does explode, it covers a large area, but the fragments stick to enemies or walls that the pieces actually hit. As for the damage from his super, it's actually a little bit confusing. Now, most of the time, it looks like it consistently deals 1,400 damage. However, I think there's some sort of star power at play here because we also see an enemy take 1,680 damage, and I did the math on Bee's damage, and she took 1,960 total damage from the super. Now, because of this, I think Squeak's star power is one of two things. First of all, it makes it so that enemies take additional damage for every additional bomb stuck to them during the explosion, or maybe he deals additional damage when enemies that do have an attack stuck to them touch other enemies, so kind of like the bomb spreads to them and does a little bit additional damage. We don't know exactly what's going on here, but once again, I'll be doing a sneak peek video on Squeak as soon as Supercell lets me. Now, what I find very interesting about Squeak is the fact that he is the tankiest of the long-range brawlers other than 8-bit, but 8-bit has a slow walking speed, so it kind of counters that. So as a long-range damage dealer with a pretty sizable amount of health, I actually think that Squeak has a lot of potential to be very strong as long as you're good at not wasting your ammo, because once again, he is going to have a slow reload speed. By the way, if you look at this close-up of Squeak, you'll actually see a bone pin for Colonel Ruffs, a drop pin for Squeak, which I can only imagine is Drool, and a cat pin, which I think is pretty much confirmation that the third Space Force brawler is going to be Kit, the Space Cat. Now let's talk about the newest game mode coming to Brawl Stars, Knockout. This new game mode is kind of like Bounty because the whole goal is to stay alive while killing the enemy team, but the trick is, if you kill an enemy brawler, they will not respawn, which will give your team a huge advantage. But on the flip side, if you die, you won't respawn until the round is over. And the round does not end until one of the teams is completely knocked out, or until the 1-minute timer is up. When the round is over, everybody respawns and goes at each other again. And the match is over when one of the team wins 2 out of 3 matches. Very much like Brawl Ball, actually. Now, honestly, I'm actually really excited about this mode. I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on people to not die because the consequences are so detrimental to your team. And I love that the rules are simple, yet I think that it will also really celebrate high-skilled gameplay. And honestly, I think that I already want Supercell to make this a permanent game mode in Brawl Stars, right? Ryan said this was going to be a seasonal game mode, and I think the reason why he said that is because the team pretty much wants to test it out, see how people like it, and see if it's something that people actually want to play long term. If the mode does really well, I think we'll see it added as a permanent game mode, much like Hot Zone was recently put into the game. Well, recently is like 6 months ago. And if it doesn't do well, they'll probably just make it seasonal, just like Ryan said, where we'll get to see it once a year. Okay, everybody, now we got 18 skins to talk about. 18 skins. That is so many skins. First up is Gunslinger Colt, who will be available for those that purchase the Brawl Pass right at the beginning, at the very start. For those of you guys who don't know, Colt's original concept before it was ever put into the game and actually finalized was just Gunslinger. So Gunslinger Colt is actually kind of a special skin. Next, we have Belle Goldhand, which is going to be the reward at the end of the Brawl Pass, which, by the way, I would really appreciate it if you guys used code Kairos when you purchase this season's Brawl Pass.
KAIROS, code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop.
Next, we have some Wild West skins. Marshall Ruffs attacked with Sheriff Star badges. Now, if I had to guess, I would say that this skin will cost probably between 80 or 150 gems, one of those two. I'm hoping for 80 gems on this. Then we have Misfortune Terra, which looks really cool. I'm guessing that she's also going to cost either 80 or 150 gems. There's Amber de la Vega, which I'm gonna guess is gonna cost 80 gems. Then there's Quick Draw Edgar, which I think will cost 150 gems because of his special animations. Now for this Power League season, we'll be getting Saloon 8-bit skin, which I hope doesn't cost 25,000 star points, but I think that it will. And you'll probably have to play 50 Power League matches in order to unlock the option of purchasing the skin first. But once you do that, you don't have to purchase it during the season. You'll be able to have it unlocked or purchasable forever until you actually get it. I think the skin looks super cool, especially because he attacks with those musical notes, right? Now, it could be wrong about the timing of these skins, but I think that all of these Wild West skins will likely be available sometime in April, since the next two skins we're going to talk about are going to be released for Golden Week, which will take place on the first week of May. We'll be getting Neko Bee and Gold Neko Bee. Both of these fire cat-like projectiles, but I'm thinking that Neko Bee will be 80 gems and Gold Neko Bee will cost 150 gems because of the additional bling and also the particle effects. Maybe like 100 gems and 150 gems, 100 gems, 120 gems, something like that. And next we'll be getting Lantern Sandy, who I'm gonna guess is gonna cost 150 gems. Then there's Do It Yourself Surge. This skin is so cool. This one doesn't have any special animations or anything like that, so I'm gonna guess it's gonna probably be like a 50 gem skin, maybe an 80 gem skin, maybe a 30 gem skin, but I think it's worth more than that. Then there's Archvillain B, which is the winner from one of the previous Supercell make competitions. This skin, I definitely think it's gonna be 150 gems. I think that Supercell could definitely justify more than that. Just don't tell them I said that. But since this is a Supercell make skin, I think 150 gems is what they'll do. And if that is not enough skins, Supercell's also bringing true gold and true silver skins to Spike, Jean, and Nita. That is a lot of skins. Once again, I'd appreciate you guys using code Kairos when you purchase these skins. I recently announced that we're building a house, and well, houses are expensive. Oh, and also if you don't want to use my creator code, that's totally fine. I don't take offense to that at all. I appreciate you guys supporting other creators. Just make sure you don't forget to use somebody's creator code because they expire after 7 days. That's not all we're getting this update. We're getting Duo Showdown added to the map maker. We're also getting Hot Zone and Siege added to the map maker since they weren't able to make it happen with the last update. We're getting animated pins for Leon, Penny, Ems, Carl, and Mr. P. We're going to be able to fast forward and rewind on replays, and we'll be getting 2 exclusive profile icons for the second season of Power League. There's also probably like balance changes and some other stuff that I'll talk about in a future video. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is Ryan. Ryan has been a huge part of the Brawl Stars team honestly since the beginning, right? He was there when Brawl Stars launched its beta test. He was there when things were not going well with Brawl Stars, when it was in portrait and they had plans to kill the game. Legitimately, they were going to kill the game at one point. He was also there when Frank came up with a plan to save Brawl Stars and get it launched globally. Ryan has kind of been the face for Brawl Stars for many, but Ryan's been an even bigger part of the community than you guys know, okay? He's a big reason why Supercell created the Creator Code program to help support creators like me and other growing creators. I've had the pleasure of hanging out with him in Finland and at other Brawl Stars events, and I'm really happy that I don't have to say goodbye to him, right? I'll still be able to interact with him in his new position as a community lead, overseeing all of Supercell games. But I think that I can speak for my audience when I say that, Ryan, if you're watching this right now, you will be missed, and it has been an absolute honor to have you a part of this awesome journey. Thank you for being such a positive part of this community. You've really left big shoes to fill. Speaking of which, Danny, if you're watching this, then you just keep being awesome, man. You're killing it. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, chances are you'll also enjoy one of these videos right here. So feel free to click on them, like right now. I don't know what you guys are waiting for. Oh, I need to say the thing, right? For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.